let everybody know that I actually looked down and noticed that I have shit on my shoe?
Oh,
That's shit on my shoe.
Did you ever see that movie? Did you ever see that movie? Did you ever see that movie?
I'm gonna put some inflection into this one. Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your host, Des, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Lynn.
Great, I hijacked my fucking parents.
And back again, one of my favorite three co-hosts, the podcaster with 1,000 potions, Mickey.
Don't bug me, it's Christmas.
And today we will be discussing the 1994 dark comedy, The Ref, directed by Ted Demme, written by Richard LaGravenese and his sister-in-law Mary Wise, starring Kevin Spacey, Judy Davis, and Denis Leary. But before we get into it, let's run the trailer.
See these two people? I hate these people.
How can we both be in the marriage and I'm miserable and you're content?
Luck? It was Christmas Eve in Connecticut. I was minding my own business, breaking into this rich guy's house when I ran into this dog. I hate this dog. My partner Murray was waiting for me outside. Murray's an idiot. Murray! This is Santa Claus. Not the real Santa Claus, just some drunk guy pretending to be Santa Claus. Anyways, the cops came. I took those two people hostage in that house that I hate. And guess what? Their relatives showed up. Why? Because it's Christmas Eve, remember? Remember how much I said I hated those two people? That's nothing compared to how I feel about the rest of their family.
The TV's broke. What are we gonna do all night? Celebrate the birth of Christ.
I hate this guy, his wife, these kids, and this lady.
I think this is sick.
You want to have sex with him?
What?
It was a nightmare. It was just, Shut up! These cops and candles and kids and booze and fruitcake and Santa Claus and...
Sex and drugs and women being set on fire. Fascinating.
It was such a nightmare that now I hate Christmas. I used to love Christmas, you know, food and reindeer and ties and bags of fluffy new socks. Now I even hate socks.
Would you like me to give you a synopsis?
What is that?
Well, you guys didn't even react last time, so I had to pump up the juice a little bit.
Oh my Lord, just give the synopsis.
A cat burglar is forced to take a dysfunctional family hostage on Christmas Eve. The end. Would you like my opening thoughts?
Yes, please.
Okay. As we've already discussed, I am enjoying a nice Scandinavian Christmas potion. And this movie had a budget of $11 million and a box office gross of just $11 million. So I am guessing this was not considered a successful movie. What do you guys think?
Yeah, breaking even doesn't sound good.
Yeah, I didn't know if it did like better on, like DVD releases or anything like that, if it became like a cult classic that made movie on the back end. But
That I don't know.
yeah, I don't know a lot because I got a late start today. So I didn't even do notes. I just watched the movie and I'm going to talk about it.
Very professional today.
Yes. And the movie is based on Richard and Mary's real family dynamics. So I'm glad to know that I don't have the only fucked up family out there around Christmas.
I think a lot of people actually would relate, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you certainly don't.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, yeah, let's get into it.
All right, I'm going to roll with it. Okay. Our movie opens with a shot of an idyllic town street lit with white Christmas lights and full of shoppers and children excited for the holiday. Although there has been some mischief. Someone stole the baby Jesus out of the manger and it's been missing since last year. The camera pans to Dr. Wong's marriage counseling, where we meet Lloyd Chaucer, played by Kevin Spacey, and Caroline Chaucer, played by Judy Davis. Dr. Wong is played by B.D. Wong and is encouraging the Chaucers to actually listen to one another. Caroline describes a dream where she had a waiter serve her Lloyd's head on a salad with a dick sticking out of his ear. and Lloyd reveals that she shared this dream with their friends at all the dinner parties lately. Caroline counters that they currently have no sex life and that when they did, it wasn't noteworthy. She also casually drops the fact that she's had an affair. She claims the affair was Lloyd's fault. So Mickey, right out of the gate, we see these two people are married and not communicating at all with one another.
Yeah, they're not happy. And I have to say, I really love both of them. I think they did great casting for both of them.
Yeah.
She cracked me up through the whole movie. She was so miserable, but it was funny miserable. And that sounds horrible to say, but do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I feel like so many people, in middle-class America could relate to this woman.
Yeah,
absolutely. Mickey, I couldn't agree with you more. I thought that the cast of this movie was freaking spectacular, man. I mean, you love the people you're supposed to love. You hated the people you were supposed to hate. I mean, Kevin Spacey is just, the guy is awesome. And I love this opening scene. I love that the dick sticking out of his ear, don't eat it. It's just for garnish. Like, there was never a dream. There was never a dream. This dream never happened. She's telling people that basically at this point, her husband's dick is just for show.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. She made the dream up just so she could insult him and, and tear him down. But I think we're going to realize throughout this movie that she did very much like in Neighbors with, the way I thought Vic was trying to break the spell on Earl. I feel like she's trying to break the spell on her husband. She's saying, wake up, man, snap out of it. I don't think she's done with the marriage if she can get him to, to see what's going on. That's
I mean, honestly, I feel like this is one of those things where you watch it and you see where both of them are at fault. And neither one of them wants to take any responsibility. So when you get into that position where two people are at fault and nobody wants to take responsibility, where are you going to go?
It's almost like they're both too proud and their egos are in the way. And if they admit fault, then that's a weakness.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. All right. So in sharp contrast to the happy scene of Christmas shopping, there's a shady looking character sitting in a car outside a house. Inside, we see Denis Leary's character, Gus, breaking into a safe. As soon as he opens it, it sprays something in his face. Cat piss.
Love it.
Gross. Caroline and Lloyd continue to battle it out in Dr. Wong's office. The argument escalates further and further until the doctor asks them to lower their voices and they both yell, "Fuck you" at him.
Great.
At the same time that Gus is cleaning out the safe, despite smelling like cat pee, he takes all that jewelry and he sees this solitaire diamond ring at the back. He reaches for it, pulls on it, and a wire is attached to the box. All the lights in the house come on. Alarm starts announcing burglary, burglary. And the floor under his feet opens up and he ends up in the basement. His accomplice sitting out in the car, Murray, played by Richard Bright, starts to panic. He knows Gus is in trouble. In fact, it's more trouble than he can even know as Gus is facing off with a growling Rottweiler. He tries to fake it out by throwing a pool ball and hoping the dog will chase it. And the dog doesn't fall for that. And when he throws another one at him, the dog crunches it up like a Triscuit. Though the dog does chase after a necklace, Gus doesn't get away and gets bit in the ass for his troubles as Murray has hightailed it out of there. So, honey, what do you think? The dog is pretty funny, right?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go back to the doctor's office. So a lot of the exposition and dialogue between these characters delivered by lesser actors would have been annoying to me. It would have felt like fake. I would have been like, oh, this is just over the top. But these actors are so good.
Yeah,
I didn't mind it at all. It was like my mind just glossed over it. It was just like, I love this. And, I don't want to jump into Denis Leary too soon, but we'll get to it. And wow. And yeah, Cannibal the dog. I love them. And,
the dog's name is Cannibal?
Yeah. And Denis Leary, like, he finally bribes him with like a fucking bracelet or something. And the dog's like, all right. He goes, maybe for the bracelet. And he tosses it. The dog goes after it. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. And we're going to also realize right away that Denis Leary is a cat burglar, but he's not a bad guy. I mean, he could have shot the dog, and he doesn't. He takes it in the ass. He takes it in the ass from Cannibal and, hightails
sounds like a very different movie.
And hightails it out of there. Yeah, it's just like American Me with a puppet or whatever his name was. Yeah. So yeah, I liked all these opening scenes, and I also want to say that I really like Dr. Wong.
Yes.
He was also in a movie
Yeah.
with Ethan Hawke called Mystery Date, which I
Oh
love.
my
It's
God.
a guilty pleasure of mine.
I forgot
Mickey,
about that movie.
You like it? It's a guilty pleasure.
That's awesome. You
Is
know
that the
who I
one
love?
with Heather? What's her name?
Heather
The one
Graham.
from Meet the Parents.
Oh yeah,
Is
yeah.
it Heather Graham? Was it
Is
Heather
that her name?
Graham?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's the one that plays Greg Focker's girlfriend in Meet the Parents. And she's very young in that movie.
Oh
Oh.
right, it's not Heather Graham. It's
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. But I put Mystery Date in there with like License to Drive and some of these other ones that I just, they make me feel warm and fuzzy inside when I watch them.
I liked Murray myself in the movie. I liked Murray a lot. Gussie,
Oh, Murray was
He
great.
was so cute. He was just like so clueless and just he was like a little kid.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
seems I mean, I know he's not an innocent, but he has like this innocent virtue to him,
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
clearly,
he's such.
clearly there's a reason he's only driving the car. You know what I mean? Like,
The actor is a very good actor too. And like I could see this character very easily taken out of this movie and put into like Boondock Saints, and he would have fit perfectly.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So at this point, Caroline and Lloyd have left the doctor's office. They stop at the corner store, and Caroline goes in for a few things while Lloyd waits in the car. Gus also goes into the store, clearly looking for somebody to help him get out of town. He sticks his gun in Caroline's back and drags her back out into the street and to the car where he orders Lloyd to drive. And Des, I noticed this one thing here. Up until now, Lloyd has been saying Caroline's name, and every time he says it, he's like sneering her name. But this time he calls her Carrie, and it's very like casual and almost like he said it without even thinking. And it was almost like, to me, it was like this little tiny indication that he actually really still cared, you know? And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I'm not going to jump the gun, but I mean, there's a scene coming up where you can see that they are still, at on a deep level, still, in love with each other and attracted to each other physically. And, we're going to get into it once the spell is broken, which is a great part of the movie. So keep going.
All right. So the police have been setting up roadblocks, trying to finally catch the guy that's been doing this rash of robberies and has been namely our friend Gus. They hear it on the radio as Lloyd is driving. The Charleses are unable to stop bickering, even though there's a man in the back seat with a gun. Their son, Jesse, played by Robert J. Steinmiller, is developing naughty pictures in his darkroom when a man in uniform comes by. He gives Jesse an envelope full of cash. So, Mickey, here's our wayward son. And I'd say his streak of bad behavior not only didn't go away when they sent him to military school, it got worse.
Absolutely. And I will say that I feel like this kid needs a big kick in the ass.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. He's also one of those characters, like, he still cares. He still wants his family, but
Right. He's going about it the wrong way. He's trying to get attention the wrong way.
Right. But also his parents aren't capable of giving him attention right now.
Right.
So I kind of get it.
So this is the first chink in the armor in the movie. Okay. I have a problem with this. First of all, this character wasn't needed. I mean, he could have been in the movie, but this whole side plot of he's taking pictures of like, the Admiral with like fucking hookers dressed in like, bondage outfits. And the guy's coming to his room with the envelope of money. Give me a fucking break. The guy'd be there with 2 MPs. They'd freaking those pictures would never see the light of day. That kid would be in the stockade until he agreed to shut his mouth. And not only that, it's just stupid. It's a stupid plot device. It doesn't need to be in this movie. It just doesn't.
I think I think, to be honest with you, I think they had it in there to show how much the relationship between Lloyd and Caroline deteriorating was affecting him. Like, this is what it's driving their son to do.
He's
You know what I
acting
mean?
out so much.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, we could have got this from a little exposition, which we got. He's gone to military school because no high school will take him. We see that he's stolen the baby Jesus. I mean, this whole subplot of him blackmailing like a fucking corporal with like midget sex pictures. It's just like it's outer limits, man. Like it's outer limits. It doesn't need to be there. And then they give him like all this money, but the money never comes into play. Like, not to jump ahead, like it's a plot device that never plays in the movie. Like, he doesn't give it to Denis Leary's character, like, go, or it just doesn't make sense. The Admiral
he
shows
offers
up,
it to him at some point.
yeah, but I mean, doesn't take it. It's like, it's just not, it's not needed. The Admiral comes to the house. Like, that whole thing was like this weird little scene where nothing is explained. I don't even think they show the guy leave. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know what they were
you
thinking.
probably could have removed it and it would have been fine.
Yeah, the kid could have come home from military school, or even could have got kicked out of military school. Come home. They kicked me out. I'm back. Fine. Great. He's a bad kid. We get it. I just don't know why they're feeding us this bizarre thing that just doesn't make sense. I mean, no 16-year-old kid's going to be able to pull this shit off. It's just stupid. And this Admiral, like, really, like, let's break down the scenario. Like, what? The kid is there with his Polaroid. The Admiral's like doing coke with 2 strippers. He's taking pictures. They're all getting it on 4-way. What?
Yeah, it was a little odd for sure. And like you said, I could definitely remove this little portion of the plot and it probably wouldn't affect anything.
Yeah, I mean, they were all like smiling and posing for the camera. I just don't know. I don't know. Okay.
Let it go.
I can't. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad.
Oh my goodness.
It's bad.
All right. Well, let's move on.
Let's.
Arriving back to the house with Gus in tow, Lloyd and Caroline divulge that Lloyd's family is on their way for dinner, and so is their son. Not very far away, though, Lloyd's family is eating at a diner. They discuss how much they hate Caroline and her cooking. Connie, played by Christine Baranski, who is especially great in this movie.
Yes.
And we also have Gary, Lloyd's brother, played by Adam Lefebvre, and Lloyd's mother, Rose, played by Glynis Johns.
Fucking brilliant.
Yeah, all of them are fantastic. Meanwhile, Gus has tied up Lloyd and Caroline with bungee cords, and when he tries to talk to Murray on the phone, they won't stop bickering until he hoses them down with the sink hose.
I love that scene.
He tells Murray to get them a boat. After a frustrating phone call and more bickering, Gus knocks both Lloyd and Caroline over and makes them both admit to being liars before a neighbor shows up with an offensive fruitcake. Des, I think it's hilarious how quickly Gus sees through their bullshit.
Gus is great. Denis Leary. I mean, I haven't seen this movie in quite a few years. And, this was on my, to watch list. I love this movie. I've seen it probably a dozen times. Mm-hmm. But I forgot how good Denis Leary is. He was so lovable. He was so likable. I loved every second he was on the screen. And it was funny because, he was helping them more than the therapist. Like, the therapist was just clueless, man. He just wasn't breaking the ice. This guy was throwing them down and forcing them to look at their bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Well, so that's the problem. So the therapist is all like, can't we just kumbaya and hold hands? Yeah. And meanwhile, Gus is like spraying them down with hoses and being like, knock the shit off.
Yeah, you're a liar and you're a liar. Capital L, small E-I-E-R, period, liar. Did I spell that right?
E in liar.
Lear. You are Lear Jets. You are fucking well done Capones. Capons. Copens. Copenhagen's. Yeah, but anyway, he was great. His character was awesome. I absolutely loved him.
How am I supposed to go on after that?
You know what else I loved? I loved throughout the movie how we see that she's got packs of Marlboro Red stored all over the house.
I know it.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. Because I'm like, wow, where'd that pack of cigarettes come? Where'd that pack of cigarettes come from?
Yeah. If Everyone's you legitimately just look behind anything in the house, there's a pack of cigarettes. And Lloyd has literally been moving through this house and not noticing them.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Which is another good kind of like shows you how much he's invested right now. He doesn't see any of it.
Checked out completely.
Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing too because the characters you're supposed to love, you really, really love. And the characters you're supposed to hate, like the Santa Claus and the mother, you really, really hate. Like they just really sell it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So Jesse's outside the house, but he offers the driver money to drive him around the block a few more times. And first, when I saw this, I'm like, he's in a limo. And, Lloyd and Caroline were just saying how they don't have any money or that, they're just middle class. And then I'm like, oh, it's the kids' money. It's not their money that brought him home in a limo. But it took me a second to catch on to that. So Caroline and Lloyd are tied up together while Gus looks around their house and finds the stolen baby Jesus. There's more bickering before Jesse finally decides to come up into the house. After stashing a considerable amount of money under the floorboards, he goes to his parents' bedroom where Gus grabs him too. Mickey, that's a pretty profitable business he's running.
Yes. And I have to say, like, he needs a kick in the ass. But I love the fact that, as you get through the movie a little further, like, he almost starts to kind of idolize Denis Leary's character.
Oh, yeah.
Denis Leary's character is so funny in this. Like, I miss like old Denis Leary that was just so friggin' crass and didn't care what he said to people. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I loved him in this movie because, like you said, he was lovable, but he was very
still crass.
Like abrasive and very like, wasn't going to put up with their shit. But I don't know, like, it's kind of like, well, if I ever get, held up at gunpoint and get taken hostage, this is the guy I want to do it.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'll tell you what I really respected about his character was a lot of times when you get these comic actors that do these parts, or even a lot of actors, you basically just get a guy playing himself. This didn't feel like Denis Leary playing Denis Leary.
Right.
No, like he had a couple of Denis Leary isms in there.
Oh, definitely.
Was more acting than not.
Yeah. He was bringing his charm to the camera where you were getting his Denis Leary stuff. But I also felt like I was watching the character Gus, like a guy from Boston, which is what I was getting. They're in Connecticut. Right. And and again, this character could have been out of like Boondock Saints. Like him and his partner could have been, guys from a really dark drama movie like that, or like the one with Leonardo DiCaprio there.
The Departed?
The Departed. Like, they were deep characters. I really liked them. It really worked for me. And also in this scene, this is where we get them tied together on the bed. And, he gets an erection and she's like, what's that? And, well, it's all the rubbing together. And they get this tender moment where they look at each other, and they're about to kiss.
Right.
And, you can see that it's not as over as we're led to believe in the beginning of the movie.
Right.
Right. Well, I also feel like when you care the most is when you fight the hardest. It's when you stop caring and stop fighting that you're really done. Yeah. So the fact that they're actually fighting and screaming and yelling at each other, it's because they care.
Yeah, and they're empty threats they're throwing at each other. Neither of them want to end the marriage.
Yeah, I agree. So after tying Jesse up, Gus is still waiting on Murray's call. The curfew's coming up fast and he's running out of time. The police were able to watch the videotape of Gus at the crime scene, but then they tape over it with an old Christmas movie, so they only have a vague idea of what he looks like. The Chaucers are still tied up, and Gus is pissed because the reward for information leading to his capture has gone up to $200,000. He lights a cigarette, and the smoke detector goes off. He tries to get on a chair to take it down, and his foot goes right through it. Then he tries to stand on the bed and falls. He drops the gun, and Jesse, who managed to get himself untied, grabs the gun. He holds it on Gus, but when the phone rings and distracts him, Gus grabs it back. The rest of the family is only minutes away. Gus decides to tie Jesse up in the closet. They have a conversation about how Jesse is ungrateful for what he has before Gus leaves him there. He's going to pretend to be Dr. Wong. So the scene with Gus Des trying to get the smoke detector down is actually a nice moment of slapstick because it's been a lot of chit-chatting and talking and bickering up until now. And to have a little physical comedy was a palate cleanser.
Yeah, I agree. I totally liked it. I thought Denis Leary played this great. But it's funny because with a movie with so much like kind of pointless exposition, which it just had a ton of dialogue that really didn't mean anything. It was just bickering, but it wasn't a problem for me. I was entertained. I loved it. I loved it all. And the phone didn't have to ring. The kid wasn't going to shoot Denis and Gus, and I knew it, and he knew it, and the kid knew it. And I'm glad that they didn't do the old, like, he pulls the trigger and we find out that the gun is not loaded, or he tries to pull the trigger and the safety's on. Like, I'm glad we didn't get that.
No,
I didn't.
the trigger got pulled because he shot the smoke detector, so it's loaded.
Right. So, well, you know what I'm saying. I'm
Yes.
glad that this scene didn't play out where we find out that the kid would have actually shot him, because I think what we're getting here, and again, I'm drawing parallels to Neighbors because they fit.
Right.
You've got this couple in this loveless marriage that's really over at this point, and the kid comes home from school just like in Neighbors, and at first they hate give me the word, the protagonist. At first they hate the protagonist, Vic in Neighbors and Gus in this movie, but then they start to warm up to it because he's bringing life to the end of the road. He's bringing life to this dead end, lost relationship with nothing, no life left in it. And by this point, I think even Jesse, even though he's known Dennis only a couple of minutes, he says, things seem different in the house and we need different. So this movie felt a lot like Neighbors to me. And it even had that weird plot device with the midgets and I don't know if they're midgets, whatever, the hookers and the fucking, and the gag balls,
What? Gag balls? What?
Oh, there were gag balls. Wasn't the general like wearing a gag ball with the two women in like
right,
leathers
yes.
and whips?
You're right.
Yep.
Yeah. So, this is feeling like kind of a fever dream as well. But anyway, yeah. So I loved it. I really enjoyed this scene very much. Lots of cool stuff.
How about you, Mickey?
Yes. I mean, again, Denis Leary, I think, is just, I don't think anyone else could have played this role.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to think of somebody that would have had the same, because like Denis Leary kind of has like that kind of heartwarming type thing, which is weird because he's a crass comic, but
right. And it's kind of like, I don't know, like, when not to jump forward, but he's like, she's my mother. She's a fucking bitch, Lloyd. You know what I mean? Like, he's just like,
She was a bitch.
She was a bitch.
She
sucks.
He looked great in this movie too. He looked great. Like they had him looking like Robin Hood, right?
Yeah, he was like peak Denis Leary. Like they had the mustache and the beard all perfect. Yeah.
He was looking good.
Yeah, and I love that character. I know I keep going back to this, but I love Marie.
Yeah, I love Murray too.
She's just like Murray.
I am.
Yeah.
I am. I just, he's like he can't understand why they took Happy Days off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that. I love that line. See if there's a Murray. Nope, sorry, there's no Murray here. See if there's a fucking waste of space Murray there. That's me.
That's me. That's me.
Yeah.
I love Murray too. Loved him.
Sorry. I know.
Oh my
I'm
god.
totally off topic. Sorry.
That's
but
no,
he's just-
quite all right.
Yeah, he's just I just love him.
Oh, it's fantastic. So the police show up at Lloyd and Caroline's, and Lloyd invites them in while Caroline and Gus are hiding in a closet. Murray tries to call again, but hangs up when he hears the police talking. Connie and Gary and Mother show up finally. Murray finally gets a hold of Gus. He's got a boat, but it's going to be at least an hour to make some repairs. Meanwhile, Caroline has everyone wearing St. Lucia wreaths on their heads and has put out a Scandinavian feast. And honestly, this feast is dubious at best.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I'd want to eat. I can't believe I'm siding with freaking Mother Rose, but I don't know if I'd want to eat it either.
What the hell am I eating?
What the hell am I eating?
Oh, so the family asks, quote unquote, Dr. Wong about his treatments, and Gus is answering in babble and some things that he heard on Oprah.
Yep.
Mother Rose reveals that she knows about Caroline's infidelity, and Caroline goes off. She ends up getting drunk and only sobers up when Gus reminds her that her son is tied up upstairs. So, Mickey, I think we've all been in these super uncomfortable situations, especially at holidays where you don't know what to say or do.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't even imagine how awful it would be to look forward to this particular Christmas meal every Christmas.
Well, especially with that mother. I mean, she's such a bitch, and like, and you could, and again, she, that was another role that was just cast perfectly because she's just,
this actress is amazing.
Yeah, she's, just like, thank you, Gary and Connie and whatever her name. You know what I mean? It's like just all right.
Oh,
yeah. So
I mean, jumping ahead on that, but I feel like she deserved that gift. So,
Yes.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It was It was great. And this might come as a surprise to you, Mickey, and our listeners, but I have been known to run off at the mouth a little bit and say stupid, inappropriate things at inappropriate times. So there's been many times we've left Christmas because we'll go to DeLynne's families for Christmas often. And they're kind of like a stiff family, a little bit. Like, they're very nice people, don't get me wrong, but the sense of humor is a little bit dry, let's just say. And I am fucking insane. You all know what insane. Yeah. So there'll be times we'll leave and she's like, how could you say that? You said this dummy shit. I was like,
I just be like, I can't fucking believe you said that.
I'm like, what? What'd I say?
I love it.
Yeah. So I'm that.
I'm that.
Merry Christmas. I only know what I know. Oh, I've only seen what I've seen, right, Mickey?
But honestly, too, though, you can't
buy it. She didn't even get it.
That was from our last podcast where you're like, I've only seen what I've seen.
I actually just mentioned that to my husband today. I'm like, I only, the one that I saw is obviously the only one that I've seen. And I'm like, what the fuck? Anyway.
We've said that like 5 times around the house lately.
Oh yeah, it's become pop culture in our house. You are pop culture now.
House.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's pop culture in our house. Mickey's flub from episode 14. She only knows what she knows, and she's only seen what she's seen.
The scary thing is I say shit like that every day.
We're counting on it.
Yeah. That's why you keep coming back.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take you off track.
No, it's okay. And that's okay. I lost it though.
Uncomfortable Christmases, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, the mother, I don't even remember the mother's name.
Mother Rose.
Mother Rose. Yes, Mother Rose.
Perfect.
She was just, I don't know how anyone could have a comfortable Christmas with that woman.
Mm-mm.
You could be the epitome of class and whatever. And she's that person that will find something to like sneer at, no matter what.
Oh yeah.
So that's I loved that they were trying to like kind of fool her with the Dr. Wong thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, she bought into it for a little bit.
When she's like, Wong.
Yeah. Mother Rose is a badass, though. I mean, she almost takes Denis Leary out at one point.
This is true. She does.
Yeah. She's no joke. And it's funny because this movie reminds me of a few different movies. So Mother Rose's character is kind of borrowed from a character from a movie called Greedy that had Michael J. Fox in it. And it's the same thing, the father is super rich and the whole family like kisses his ass and comes to dinners and whatever's whatever. He makes them dance for him and stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but yeah, it was pretty good. But yeah, same idea.
Yeah. I also want to know, do families actually do this thing where they have like a super late dinner on Christmas Eve and then they open presents at midnight? Because I've never done that.
Well, my birthday's Christmas Eve, so I've
how tender. Dylan and I just both had a cry. Oh God. Are you turning 12?
Mentally,
God.
Yes. My husband
That's how we both act like you're a little kid, like, oh, so sweet.
I know. Oh, he always says you're my favorite 6-year-old, only taller.
Oh, that's hilarious.
No, I was the nightmare before Christmas. But I don't know if people do that because I always had, it was always
your birthday.
Separate. Yeah, it was my birthday. So it does sound kind of weird though.
Like they kept saying like it's 7 o'clock and the family's coming at 9, and I was like 9 o'clock for dinner? I'd be in bed. Are you kidding me?
I know. And then like I know sometimes like some families will have like, we'll do one present on Christmas Eve or whatever.
I've heard that too, but usually they wait for the morning, I thought.
Yeah, but like midnight, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said last week on the podcast, Christmas Eve for me usually as a child was spent alone in a room with a salt container, staring at the steak on the side thinking, God, I'm hungry.
Wow, way to bring it down.
So everybody out there, be grateful. It could be worse.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you should be telling that to Jesse.
Yeah. Well, I am Jesse.
Yeah, I know you
For
are.
all you that don't know, fun fact, my real name is Jesse.
Just nobody calls him that.
Nobody cares.
All right, moving on.
Oh, can we?
Before I break into song with Carly Simon's Jesse.
I need Dr. Wong for some therapy, I think.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Tell me about the salt container, son.
Oh my God, you've eaten plenty of food since then, my friend.
Yeah, I had Chinese food tonight and it was delicious.
I never let this kid go hungry.
No, she doesn't. She feeds me quite well.
Nice.
So in the living room, the family begins opening presents, and it's obvious that Mother Rose is the shittiest gift giver ever. Incredibly miserly.
Miser.
When Caroline refuses to take a present from Lloyd, Mother Rose launches into a speech about how nasty and selfish Caroline is. The glee on her face when Lloyd announces that they're getting a divorce is apparent. They continue to open shitty presents, and Lloyd gives his mother another payment on their loan from her as a Christmas gift. After that, she mentions interest rates in the next year, and Caroline unloads on Mother Rose. After she does that, Lloyd decides to remind her of the part that she played in their lives as well. So, Des, I think that this is where you got your getting up on the wooden cross snipe that you use all the time.
Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ on a popsicle stick. I absolutely love it. Yeah, good stuff. I love this scene. You know, again, it's just, first of all, I love the line, can we just eat me, Lloyd? When she tells him that, and Connie is so offended. This is not acceptable talk for children or anybody.
Yeah.
Why don't you eat me?
I love that line. I was laughing out loud. I loved it.
I love it when he grabs the fireplace poker and just slams the daylights out of that tree. Excuse me, the corpse still has the floor.
And it's funny because the little kid, the little boy, they've almost got him off screen, but not quite. He is laughing hysterically. The little girl's playing scared. The mother's playing scared, and the kid is ducking down because he just can't hold his laughter in.
Well,
and I thought it was.
She's like, we'll have to see what interest rates are like in the new year, and Caroline's like, cocksucker.
Cocksucker. What did she say? And the brother goes, she said cocksucker. Oh my God, I loved it.
And I also like the part where Christine Baranski steps up for her husband for a change too.
Yes.
And then Mother Rose says to her, "Who do you think you are?" And she says, "Slipper socks, medium."
I loved it. I loved it. And this is also where Spacey's character is going to finally side with his wife over his mother. And you can see at this point, this is where the shift happens. This is where you can see that they want to stay together. Yeah. And they're going to start talking about the issues. And I love Denis Leary's character, Gus. He stands back. She goes, "Do you mind?" He's like, "No, go ahead." It's like, fucking unload, babe. Do what you got to do. Nope. And I thought this was really nice. I thought this whole movie was just really good.
Well, it's very cathartic, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You watch these people and they're struggling, and it's just when you just to quote the real world, when you stop being polite and start getting real, you know?
The real world.
Yeah.
Find out what happens when 7 people stop being fake and start getting real.
Yeah.
Well, and I said, wow, you remembered all that. I think too, that might have been why this movie was not such a huge box office, because I don't think it knew what it was, and I don't think people knew was it a comedy, was it a drama, do you know what I mean? I think so I think it couldn't really, I think that's maybe why it didn't do so well, is because it couldn't find its place.
Yes, I agree.
Right. Well, because people see Denis Leary and think it's a comedy, and then you go to watch it and you're like, this isn't really funny. I mean, there's funny moments, but
yeah, Pan's Labyrinth to me is one of my all-time favorite movies, but I was a little pissed because it was kind of promoted as a horror movie, and it's not a horror movie.
Right.
And I love it. I'm so glad it is what it is, and it wasn't like this like slasher bloody, you know, monster movie.
Right.
But I think it didn't. That's another one that didn't do well because people thought it was going to be a horror movie.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And I think that you've hit the nail on the head there with a lot of movies. And this goes back again to Neighbors. It wasn't a comedy. So when you're selling people a comedy and then they go see it and it's not, they're disappointed because they're going in with certain, pre-expectations.
Right.
And with this movie, same thing. Don't call it a comedy. Call it whatever you want. And then when the comic, notes hit, you're like, oh man, it's almost like a little extra. You're like, oh man, that movie was fucking great. And there was some really funny moments in it too, which I didn't expect.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of more like a dramedy,
It is.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
it is.
But this,
And-
when this came out, that was not really a thing.
No.
Mm-mm.
So
This movie was a little bit ahead of its time, I think.
yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, and I still don't know what I would call it. I mean, it's kind of a rom-com, right? A little bit.
A little bit.
It's
a
a
little.
dark comedy. It's a rom-com. It's got a little of everything. I don't want to like spend a bunch of time on it, but let's just very quickly one more time the cops recording over the fucking evidence. That was fucking great, man. That was fucking
Yeah.
great.
And
And
I definitely left out a lot of the stuff with the cops just because I don't know, it felt kind of backseat to the stuff that was
Yeah.
happening in the house. But
Yeah.
like you also have like the town
Yes.
guy that goes in and he's like, you're gonna lose your job and blah blah blah. And oh, by the way, and this guy's my friend, and we're taking over the investigation. And then the
Right.
cops like, by the way, I nailed your wife.
Yeah.
three times. Three
Yeah,
times,
three
and she
times.
said, "You've
You
never
never
gone
do
three
three
times."
times.
Yeah, I was like, "Whoa, there's some dark subject matter in this movie for sure."
But it's like funny because it's funny but dark and dark but
Yeah.
funny. Like
And they
'cause-
paint some great memories too. Like I can see, Kevin Spacey's character and his wife, laying in that one bedroom loft in New York, smoking the joint and drinking the wine.
Yes.
Like you could see they were hip and they were cool and they were happy ones. And you get that from like that picture on the dresser where they're both wearing the chef outfits.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she's hugging on him. And you can see that, these were like earthy, genuine, cool people. And they've just lost their identities out in the suburbs, living in this mansion under the regime of fucking Mother Rose. Fuck her.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I think too, like, a lot of people can identify with it. Like even like the subtlety, like when he's like, Carol and I are getting a divorce, and the brother goes, why? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just the way he said it, like it was so goofy, but
Yeah.
that you can actually like see that in any household in America, someone going, why? You know what I mean?
Why?
Like,
Yeah.
obviously you know why, but you have to, it's almost like he said it to be like he wanted them to know that he cared. I don't know how to explain
Right.
it. You know
Yeah.
what I
No,
mean?
I
Yeah,
know what
no.
you're saying.
So yeah.
Well, what they did a nice job of in this movie is making you care about all the characters.
Yeah.
Like, I even cared about the lady with the boat at the end. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. I hope her and Murray fucking,
I
yeah.
know.
yeah.
Of course.
Like, he found his little fucking ex-con. And it's like, oh, I hope they live happily ever after, knocking off fucking CVS's in fucking Charlestown.
I love it.
Yeah. It was just every character, you cared about them. And that is good character building. And it's funny because I don't really remember a lot of character building, but I fucking love them all.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you do. You really find yourself a little bit attached to these people, even though, like, to a certain degree, a lot of these people suck. Like,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of these people kind of suck, but you end up being like I was rooting for Caroline and Lloyd,
Sure.
even though like you initially when you meet them, you're like, these people just are the worst,
Oh, I was
Right.
so pulling for Caroline and Lloyd. I
Yeah.
loved
Yeah.
them. I was heartbroken right from the beginning. I'm like, these are good people,
Yeah.
and I loved at the end, I mean, not to jump ahead, but Gus has only known these people for just a couple of hours. And, he says, I'm tired of, I'm fucking over people that I care about,
Yes.
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
makes you wonder, is Gus like his friend now? Like, will they have interaction in the future? I'd like to believe they did.
I like to think that at the very least, like a letter or something, because this is
Postcard.
pre-internet. So
Yeah.
but he knows the address, so
Right.
Yeah.
Like maybe
Yeah.
like a postcard from, Mexico or wherever they end up.
Jamaica, right?
yeah,
That's where he used to go.
Jamaica.
Yep.
Yeah,
Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Oh my God. All right. So this is a cool scene here. Mother Rose decides to go upstairs and Gus grabs her and puts the gun to her head. And this is, I love this because, Glynis Johns, she has her mouth covered and she's fighting him. She's a scrappy little old bitch. She's fighting him. She's trying to elbow him in the gut and she kind of like throws him off his game because he's not expecting this from her.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he kind of gets her down, turns her so she's facing the group and puts the gun to her head and her eyes get so big. She's like, what? And he says, I'm going to shoot the old lady. And Christine Baranski goes, go ahead.
I love that. Go ahead.
I loved it. It made me laugh like crazy.
Yeah.
I loved Christine Baranski in this.
She was great.
Yeah. I think by this time, everybody was starting to warm up to Gus and except
Really
for
down
Mother
on
Rose.
Mother Rose. Well, I think everyone was down on Mother Rose because Mother Rose has been riding them all like donkeys for years.
Well, again, something has changed in this holiday. And I think that for better or for worse, they were all just down for it. They're like, this is great. This is not last year.
I mean, think about it. Mother Rose says to the little kid, I get you the husky size. You better not let your weight become a problem. And it's like,
He does not have a weight problem.
he's like 7. What is wrong with you?
He's like 12, 13, 7.
No, he's a young kid.
Mickey, he's a young teenager. He's at least 12. It's not 7.
I'm going to say 10. I'm going to go in the middle.
She's going to split the difference on us.
Okay. I'll say 10 and a half.
I'll say 9.
He's not 9.
Oh man. All right. Moving on. So the doorbell's ringing again, and it's Lieutenant Siskel from Jesse's school. So pretending he's the doctor has just flown out the window. Like obviously Gus can no longer pretend he's Dr. Wong. Gary, Mother Rose, and Connie are now tied up, and Jesse's gotten free again. So yeah, there's this weird scene where the lieutenant comes in and tells the parents what has been happening, but then he just kind of disappears again and nothing really happens again. So it's a weird thing. But I do like the line that when Denis Leary looks out and he goes, now the army's here? What am I, Oswald?
Okay, so I've got a couple of things to say here. So one, he says, he's blackmailing me with these pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? What? Like, you've now driven all the way out to this house after giving this kid an envelope, like you've given this kid $11,000. You're now telling the parents, like, he's got pictures of me with like, I just don't know what I'm watching. I'm like, why? This is a fucking great movie. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you making me fucking rip a rewatch off this movie for no reason? Don't do this. And then I also want to say, okay, so house gets burglarized on Christmas Eve. And what? We're pulling out the fucking National Guard. You've got every state police officer from all of the state of Connecticut there. They're doing house to house. There's roadblocks. They've circled the entire town. I mean, what is this? The Fugitive with Harrison Ford? I mean,
I would like to say that part of this is a very Tony town in Connecticut full of rich white people.
Doesn't matter.
And they are the ones that are writing the checks.
Doesn't matter. It's Christmas Eve.
No.
It's a burglary. It's a burglary. There's no hostage. There was no murder. There's no like fugitive on the fucking run no. This is way too much manpower on Christmas Eve for a B&E. I mean, no, it's a B&E.
This is a continuous B&E. It's not just one B&E. It's happened numerous times.
I think that the final the cat piss house, the guy was loaded, like disgusting rich.
Yeah.
So I think that he has a lot. Plus he knows the mayor, whoever that guy was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I think, you know what I mean? I think that's the only reason there's so much more presence.
I can get behind that if it was just the local police force. Like he says, listen, I'm the money in this town. Instead of the $200,000 bounty on this guy, which is like ridiculous, because now we've also got the news station involved, like B&E on fucking East Bumfuck Street. There's a $200,000 bounty. It's like, It's a fucking breaking and an entry. You're not getting this like breaking news fucking, no. It's over the top. But if you want me to believe it, let's just say they have the local police involved because they've got their thumb on them because this is a rich guy. You're not bringing in the Connecticut State Police to fucking rope off this town. And I mean, it's way over the top for a B&E. Way over the top. But I'll forgive it because I loved it. And how about piss drunk Santa Claus pissing on the bush?
I'm coming up to him right here.
Okay.
Okay. So Jesse says he wants to leave and go with Gus, and of course Gus refuses. Caroline comes in, has like this heart-to-heart with him, with Jesse, and is trying to like make amends, make a bridge between them. The doorbell's ringing again. Caroline keeps talking to Jesse and telling him how sorry she is. That Lloyd and her messed up with him and they want to do better. But, Gus is like, the doorbell's ringing, the doorbell's ringing, the doorbell's ringing. Finally, Caroline, Lloyd, and Gus go downstairs to answer the door. And the neighborhood Santa George has returned. He's quite drunk and he sees Gus and he attacks him. So the police are now back. Yeah, he attempts to attack him and Gus knocks him out. So the police are now back again doing the house-to-house check, and they see through the window that Caroline and Lloyd are tied up. They bicker incessantly about where the thief was going and what he said, and the state police can't wait to get out of their house. Meanwhile, Jesse is leading Gus along the path to the docks. Gus took the Santa suit away from George to disguise himself. He gets to the marina and gets on the boat and takes off while Caroline and Lloyd have made peace back at home. And that's the end of our movie.
Oh, that's sweet. So, Mickey, go ahead. Attack the scene like you were a drunk Santa Claus.
Maybe Santa won't come back next year.
Hopefully.
Maybe he and the Easter Bunny will take a fucking cruise to Jamaica and you can eat your own lousy cookie. I love the drunk Santa, although I have dealt with people like him often, and that would make me nuts. Like,
oh yeah,
but yeah. And she's like, Santa doesn't drink champagne.
Yeah, no, Santa doesn't drink milk. He's got a lactose intolerant, and it gives him painful gas.
Unless you want him farting down your chimney.
Oh, he's pissing on the bush, and the steam's coming up, and he's like, "Ow!" He like leans into the bush.
Yeah, he's something else.
And they didn't want to untie Mom.
Oh no, we'll just leave him tied up till the morning. It will be more festive.
Yeah. I thought it was funny too when he's in he's standing in the thing. He's like, he had a gun. No, he didn't. No, he had a gun. I saw a gun. No, he didn't. And you think you can take me? You think you can take me? And, he takes his beard off and he rushes them. Yeah, I thought that was all great. I loved this. I loved all these scenes, but I think that we don't see enough of the moment when Gus and what's Kevin Spacey's character's name?
Lloyd.
All right, we don't see enough of the moment when Gus and Lloyd go from being hostage to becoming like friends. Because I mean, it's like happens almost like a light switch where he says, "All right, that's it. Take him to the path in the woods to his son, Jesse. Get him out of here. I'm not going to watch somebody that I care about go to jail." And I kind of like missed that moment. Like, you know what I mean?
How did that come about? But maybe he saw the change in his family that was happening and realized that it came from Gus.
Yeah, no, I believe all that for sure. But I mean, there was just like this kind of unsaid thing between them where they were like it was almost like they were going to hug. It was like, 2 minutes ago, he's got you at gunpoint tied up on the stairs. Like there was never that moment where he finally was like, you know what, guys, I'm sorry. You're no longer my hostages. Do what you have to do. And then they're like, you know what, you helped us. We're going to help you. Like I kind of wanted that moment.
Yeah. You literally could have done like 3 lines where the police are outside the door and Kevin Spacey's looking out the window and Gus could just be like, I guess this is it. You guys will get that money at least, and you can pay back Grandmother Rose. Yeah. And Kevin Spacey turns and says, get him out of here.
Something. Yeah. Something. It was a
Right.
missed opportunity, but
Yeah.
again, it wasn't a problem for
It's
me.
a small missed opportunity, but it is one.
It was. And also, so I didn't want to blow this earlier. So the kid's got this money, right? I think he's got like $50,000 saved, like from all of his schemes. I think that's what he says at some point.
I thought he said 11, but
Well, he had just got 11,000
gotcha.
in the envelope, but you saw he was pulling money out of the floorboards.
Yeah, it's probably
He
been under
had-
there for a while.
Yeah, he'd been, because when he comes home with the initial envelope, he's putting money in the floor where there's already stacks of money.
Right.
So he's been running these scams forever. He's got lots of money. I thought he had said at one point to Denis Leary he had like $50,000, but I might be wrong about that. But he definitely had more than he had more than 11 grand.
Right.
And there was no payoff on this huge amount of money that they kept teasing us with throughout the movie. I wish that he had said, to his mother and father, please don't get divorced. Let's get out from under Grandma Rose. I have got all of this money. Let me give it to you to pay back this loan. Or, he says to the wife in front of the kid, God, if we could only come up with enough money to get out from under Grandma Rose. And then the kid says, Merry Christmas, and gives them the money.
Right.
I think that would have been nice. It would have been a nice payoff.
Agreed.
Yeah,
So-
there was definitely a couple little missed opportunities here and there.
Yeah. I love the cop seeing him walking and mistaking him for drunken Santa. I thought that was
George,
kind
go
of cool.
home. There's a curfew.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought it was great. So Mickey, go ahead. Give us your final thoughts on the scene in the movie and your rewatch score.
I agree with you. I agree with you about the missed opportunity there to kind of show like when they became like, I don't know, on
Friends.
the same side. But I feel like maybe, you could kind of see Denis Leary start to change that way or go like realize what he was involved in when they're having the argument in the living room and Kevin Spacey starts like hitting the tree.
Right.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And
Agreed.
he's realizing, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Agreed.
wow. And so I think maybe, and then, when he doesn't, what's the word I want? Like when the cops show up and, they're trying to help him hide. And I don't know. I feel like that whole scene in the living room is when it turned. And then they realized he's actually not a bad guy. And he could have done a lot worse to us. He could have stolen from us. He could have hurt us.
Yeah.
He didn't do any of that. He
Yeah.
just wanted us to shut up. You know what I mean? Like, and we
I
didn't.
totally agree.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was happy that Murray got the girl.
Me too.
Me too. So what do you got
So-
for a rewatch score?
Oh, I would say I've when this movie first came out, I loved it. I love Denis Leary. I give it a 4.
4.
Excellent.
All right, Delane, go ahead.
All right. So usually I try to keep my rewatch score very brief, but I've got a little extra something to say today. So Des and I had a conversation about Christmas movies and what terrible people we are because we picked 3 awful movies to celebrate Christmas with instead of picking feel-good movies like A Christmas Story or, It's a Wonderful Life or whatever. And after watching this movie, like at first I was like, oh yeah, there's guns and blah, blah, blah. Like I wasn't thinking much of it. This is a feel-good movie.
Mm-hmm.
You feel good at the end. And I know that you didn't like Scrooged, but at the end, when that little kid says, God bless us, everyone, and people start singing, Put a Little Love in Your Heart, that felt good. I know you hated it. But I'm just saying most of us watch that and get a little boost out of it.
I liked Scrooged. I know
See?
you guys hated it. I loved it.
I didn't hate it. I don't hate it. There was definitely some moments that didn't work for me, especially looking back at it.
Right.
But I don't hate it. And I thought there was cute parts and I love Carol Kane. So like
Yeah.
I'm down with most of it, but he definitely hated it. But but like it wasn't a feel bad movie. It's a feel good movie. You end with it feeling good if you're not Des. Now this movie, it ends with you feeling good. Denis Leary gets away. Gus, Murray gets the girl. Lloyd and Caroline are making amends. Grandma Rose is gonna fuck off back to New York City. Like
With
you
a
know,
gag in her mouth.
yeah, and the other brother and his wife seem to like have taken back a little bit of power as well. You think that those two kids are probably going to have a little bit more gumption now too. And I feel like it feels like it ended in a good place. So I have to strongly disagree that we're terrible people doing these terrible movies for Christmas.
Yeah, wait to hear about next weekend.
Well, I mean, we're gonna have to we're gonna have to take a pass on that one because that's a horror movie. But
we'll get there.
we'll get there when we get there. So for my rewatch score, I'm gonna give it a 4.
All right. And I am going to agree with everything Mickey said about the character bridge between Lloyd and Gus. Because you're right. By the time the end came, I bought it. Yeah, I don't know why I bought it, but I was like, yeah, they're friends. So I guess you're right. They kind of slow brewed that enough for it to make sense. And what's that called when a hostage takes people and the people warm up to them? There's like a word for it. Like
Stockholm syndrome.
Yes.
Yeah. So you got to wonder if there was a little Stockholm syndrome going on here.
Maybe.
But yeah, this is a feel-good movie. It's got a couple of plot problems here and there, but it's really nice. I felt really good at the end of it. It's what a Christmas movie should be. And it's funny because when we went into it, I said, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing another feel-bad Christmas movie. And this definitely is not a feel-bad Christmas movie. This is a feel-good Christmas movie.
Yay!
Yep. All great actors, great acting, great plot, great everything. So I am going to give this a rewatch score of 4.5 because I just think it's that good. And I'm only taking a half a point off for the subplot with the kid in the general because it was stupid. This was almost a perfect movie for me because the acting is so good and the character building was so good. So yeah, so with all those scores, I'm going to say that this is just a solid 4.25 rewatches. If you haven't seen The Ref, what are you waiting for? Go see it. This is a great movie. And I want to thank Mickey because this month we were letting our co-hosts pick their movies. And as you know, Pat picked Scrooge, which I don't hate. There's a lot of really nice skits in that movie, but overall it is a piece of shit, but I didn't hate it.
Hate it, but it's a piece of shit.
It was. Mickey picked this one, and I really like this one, so thanks, Mickey. Great pick.
Thanks.
And next week, we have our horror aficionado back, Tony, the podcaster with a degree in terror. And he has chosen for us to review and discuss the 1974 feel-good Christmas movie, Black Christmas.
Nice.
Where we're going to watch a whole town get butchered on Christmas Eve. So I'll be looking forward to that, I can tell you. I'll be watching it with my eggnog on Christmas Eve.
Excellent.
Yeah, maybe we'll unwrap some presents and, whatever it is. So I would like to thank Delyn, of course. I love watching movies with you and discussing it, like always.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Mickey, thank you again for joining the show. We love having you. You're an awesome co-host. And you picked an awesome movie again tonight.
Thanks.
And I want to thank the listeners that come by and listen to the show and that support the show. And if you want to support it further, of course, you can do that through our Anchor page. Helps us bring you better content. And since you haven't helped us, we're still bringing you shitty content. And I also want everybody to please go to the Facebook page. It's Hey, Did You Ever See That Movie on Facebook? Join the group. We're still taking submissions for the New Year's Eve show, which we're going to be doing on New Year's Eve night. And I'm going to try and drop it before 10 o'clock on New Year's Eve so you can listen to the show on New Year's Eve. We've got a few submissions so far, but we haven't picked anything yet. So go and do that. And until next time, hey, did you ever see that movie? See you later.
Bye. Bye.
I'm enjoying a nice Scandinavian Christmas potion.